Hey y'all, I'm Alex with Soul Mesa, Georgia, and today I'm doing a short review of the Ryobi Cultivator. It's part of the attachments that go onto the Ryobi tool set. This is the 40 volt version rechargeable battery, and today I'm using the cultivator side of it. Looks like a tiller, but it's not a tiller, so if you lower your expectations, know what you're buying, and the reason it's so much less expensive than an actual tiller would be, I found that I like it. I think you would too if you need it for something like this. I'm using it today to plant grass seed, just loosen up the soil, but I kind of show you how it works and what I've had success with. Before I get into using the tool, I wanted to show y'all what I'm actually starting with on this section of my yard. Everything over here is weeds. There's basically no grass left. So heavy in weeds, they're thick, and so what I did per the instructions on the uh, grass seed package was set the mower at the closest or the lowest level and bag it, trying to get rid of as many weeds as I can. And that also lets the seed get down to the soil, especially with using the cultivator in a minute. But if I start off by getting rid of a lot of the top part, everything else is easier. So worth kind of just showing the beginning, the prep part of using the tool rather than just getting out and throwing the machine out there and hoping for the best. One of the best things about the machine, aside from actually the work it does, is it's really quiet compared to an actual tiller with a motor or something heavy duty. The only noise you really get is the tines hitting the ground, hitting rocks or sticks or anything like that. There's a small little whining noise, kind of like maybe a house fan or something like that. It's not too noisy. I have my ear covers on just out of habit when I'm ever doing yard work. I put them on, but really watching it back, I realized I didn't really need it. What I also found, you see I'm going forward and it's picking up some, but when I start going backwards, it's when it really digs in. So I tried it both ways. I wanted to show both ways, but in the end, when I really wanted to dig some up, most of what I do would just, when I get to the end, I turn around and pull it backwards again. It pulls it up and spits it out a little bit better that way. You can see when I'm coming backwards how much more it digs it up and spreads it out fine. I'd still go forward. I'd really go back and forth, literally, and on my decision making if I wanted to go backwards or forwards. But going forward, it would loosen a little bit, and then I would use that as an opportunity as to first loosen, then come back and really dig it in deeper and walk a little bit more slowly. And you can see at this angle how much it's really spitting up. This is a really light tool for what it does. So in this part, I'm actually holding it with one hand on the trigger mechanism that gets it turning, and the other hand I'm holding the camera, which I guess is obvious. And you can see how much it bounces around, and that's one of the differences in this little cultivator versus something that's a real tiller that's going to be very heavy and dig down. So you can hold the bar, the handle, and push it down and give it a little bit more, but you can see how much it's just bouncing around here. So I found it was easy enough, and I wasn't sore after using it by just letting it kind of do its own thing, doing a couple of passes and instead of trying to force it into doing more than it's built to do. So since I wasn't really digging a garden bed and wasn't worried about having some deep root system space for it to grow in there and aerate it or anything. I just wanted to get the top level just broken up enough to be able to get my seeds in. And you can see here how much it's able to pull out the soil and loosen it. It takes off that top layer of weeds, although I didn't spray them or anything, so I'm sure it's going to come back. I'm just hoping that my grass seed gets established over the fall and winter and fights it off. Once the ground was roughed up, I was able to get my grass seed spread and put a pretty good layer of grass seed on, and then just went over it with the steel rake very lightly. This is how I used to do any kind of, I don't know, cultivation, any kind of breaking up the soil, and which is why I got the tool. This, when you're really trying to dig in using a steel rake, is a huge pain. So the tool is much better than the rake, but I still do the rake to kind of knock some grass over the top of the, excuse me, knock some soil over the top of the seeds. And then you just water it in. You can see my footprints here, so that's how much it kind of broke it up, which is all I wanted, maybe a quarter of an inch, in some areas a little bit more, but watered it in pretty good. And we have a couple more days of not having rain as the new forecast, and then we'll have maybe a week of rain. So if I can get the seeds to settle in and the rain won't wash it away, I'll be set. That was the end of the front yard, or my side yard, that I was working over for the main part of this video, but also had this footage from the first time I used it a couple of weeks ago. I planted some grass in my backyard and didn't bother to water the ground first, which I should have, because you can see it's just a dust bowl. So it worked a little bit, and this is where I learned going forward was not as productive. But it's still loosened up a little bit. I wish I'd watered it in first, or watered the ground first, because I would have had a lot more success and probably less dust down my lawns. But it worked, and now it's been a couple of weeks and I've watered it and it's rained. The grass seed has actually come up, so I'm pretty psyched about that. You can also see I'm really holding it here, so I'm forcing it into the ground a little bit more, which helped it, but was a lot harder on my joints. So that's it for me today. I like the Expand-It tools. I also have a trimmer and an edger, but today was all about the Cultivator. And knowing that I wasn't getting a tiller, and it wasn't heavy duty, it was easier for me to have the right expectations. All I wanted to do was loosen the top of the soil, something I could take it down a little bit and make it easy for the grass seed to germinate in there. We're due for rain this week, so finally, we got a little bit last night. This is definitely a lot easier than when I tried to do it in my backyard when it was bone dry. So understand it is a very light tool. It's not meant for heavy duty work, but if you want something that's going to do kind of like what I did, this is a small area. And worth mentioning, this area here, I have no idea how many square feet it is, only use about half the battery, so that 40 volts is really good. This is not a paid endorsement or anything. I like the tool, so I wanted to talk about it. It was helpful and thought that some of y'all could benefit from it. So thanks for watching, and we will have another video out probably in a week or two. We might be a little bit slower over the cooler months before we get back into gardening, but we'll also have some more farming videos in that time too. So y'all stick around, subscribe if you haven't, and thanks for watching. Bye.